What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Buster Blader deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely nostalgic deck that can easily lock down the board and then go in for game. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing a single copy of the original Buster Blader. One copy is really all you need in this deck, and this card is absolutely insane to help you step into all of your awesome plays, like summoning out your copy of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. We then play a single copy of Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordmaster. This card is really good as a 1-0 in the build and becomes Buster Blader while it's on the field or in the graveyard, basically being our second copy of Buster Blader to use in all of our combos. We then play 3 copies of Buster Whelp, the Destruction Swordsman. This card is really good as a 3-of in the build, and it's the best normal summon in the entire deck. As when this card is normal summon, you can actually add a Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great effect to be able to grab our copy of Prologue, so we can summon out our copy of Buster Dragon and our Buster Blader Fusion Monster to lock down the board. We then play a single copy of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. This card is an amazing 1-of in the build to lock our opponent out of their extra deck, with the ability that you can actually target a Buster Blader you control and equip this monster from your hand or field to that target, and while this card is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from their extra deck, which is a crazy powerful effect to be able to use to basically just lock down your opponent where they cannot even use their extra deck. We then play 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal Dragon is definitely a 3-of in the build to help us summon out our copy of Red Eye's Black Full Metal Dragon, and it's really cool to be able to use in this build because this card has the effect that when this card is sent to the graveyard from the field, you can actually add a Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand, which is such a powerful effect to be able to search out our copy of Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon. This card is really good as a 1-of in the build because it has a crazy powerful effect, and that you can actually special summon this card in your hand by banishing a face-up dragon monster that you control. And this card also has the ability during the main phase, you can actually special summon a dragon monster from your hand or graveyard to your side of the field, being able to actually bring back your copy of Black Metal Dragon that is not a once per turn for the effect of Black Metal Dragon. So you can basically link both of these cards away for a link to monster, and then search out your copy of Red Eye's Black Full Metal Dragon. We then play a single copy of Full Metal Dragon. One copy is really all you need in this deck because this card has a crazy powerful effect that you can actually reveal this card in your hand, shuffle it back into the deck, and then set a max metal morph from your deck to your side of the field. And you can actually tribute a level 5 or higher dragon monster that you control with the effect of max metal morph to special summon this card directly from your deck, which is an absolutely insane effect. And it's also a walking negate and does burn damage, which is absolutely crazy. But this card works really well in the deck. We then play 3 copies of the Bestial Lubellion. Lubellion is really cool as a 3-of in the build and has a great ability that you can actually special summon this card in your hand or your graveyard by actually tributing a level 6 or higher dark dragon monster that you control. Also, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to add a Bestial monster from your deck to your hand, and when this card's on your side of the field during the main phase, you can actually place a branded continuous spell or trap from your deck face up on the field, which is a great effect to either place your copy of Branded Beast or Branded Regained on your side of the field off this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Magnamut. Magnamut is definitely a 1-of in the build and has an awesome ability that you can actually target a light or dark monster in either player's grave and banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from the hand, and it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, which all of your level 6 bestial monsters share that common effect. Also, if this card is special summon, you can activate this effect that during the end phase of this turn, you can actually add a dragon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great effect. This card can even search out your copy of Buster Whelp, which is absolutely insane. We then play 2 copies of Druis Worm. Druis Worm is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card helps us spot remove cards off the field. We then play a single copy of Sawnir. Sawnir is great as a 1-of in the build because this card helps us send our copy of Branded Regain to the graveyard so we can actually recover it with our copy of Branded Beast. We then play a single copy of Baldrake. Baldrake is great in this deck because it also helps us spot remove cards off the field. We then play a single copy of Dogmatika Maximus. Maximus is insane in this build as a 1-of, and it's our 1 Nadir target in the entire deck. And this card is absolutely crazy in the build because you just have to banish a Fusion, Synchro, Exit, or Link monster from the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field. And during the main phase, you can actually activate this effect to send 2 monsters with different names from your extract to the graveyard. Also, your opponent sends 2 cards from their extract to the graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use because it actually helps us get cards like a Pokelone in the graveyard so we can summon out our copy of Winda, which is absolutely crazy to be able to do. And it's a really cool combo in the deck to actually summon out a copy of Winda in this build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Call in the Grave is definitely a 1 in the build to basically just stop our opponent's hand traps or going in for all of our plays. We then play a single copy of Mausoleum of White. Mausoleum of White is actually really powerful in this deck, so we can actually search out the new Blue Eyes Link monster, which is really crazy. And this card actually has a really cool ability that during the main phase, you can actually normal summon 1 level 1 light tuner in addition to your normal summoner set, which is great, making Black Metal actually the best normal summon in this build, because you can basically normal summon out your copy of Black Metal, make your copy of the Blue Eyes Link monster, which is really funny that you use a Red Eyes card to be able to make a Blue Eyes monster, but you basically use it for that particular combo because then you can search out your copy of Mausoleum, and if you already have a copy of Buster Whelp in your hand, you can actually normal summon out your copy of Buster Whelp and go full Buster Blader combo and full Red Eyes combo in the same turn because of the new Blue Eyes Link monster and Mausoleum, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Branded Regain. Branded Regain is really cool as a 1-of in the deck. If a light or dark monster is banished, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters, place that monster on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw a card. And if your opponent normally special summons a monster, you can actually target a bestial monster in your grave and special summon it, which is a great effect. We then play a single copy of Triple Tactics Talent. Triple Tactics Talent is great as a 1 in the build to either let us draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at our opponent's hand and choose a card from it, and shuffle it in the deck, dealing with hand traps before our opponent can even use them. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust. Thrust is really good as a 2-of in the build because you can actually use this card to get to your copy of Talent, or you can even use this card to set to your side of the field your copy of Prologue to make sure we can go in for our fusion plays and our copy of our Buster Dragon during the opponent's turn. We then play 3 copies of Nadir's Servant. Nadir's Servant is really good as a 3-of in the build to basically send a copy of Garua from our extract to the graveyard, and then search out our copy of Maximus, giving us a draw and sending us up for a copy of Winda, which is absolutely insane, which is so cool about this card. But this card is really good in the build, but you always want to activate it last because it will lock you out of the extract after you activate this card. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Branded Beast. Branded Beast is really good as a 1-of build because it helps us pop cards on the field, and you can easily get to this card with your copy of Lubellion. Plus, this card helps you put your copy of Branded Regain back on your side of the field after you send it to the graveyard off the effect of Sawnir. We then make a single copy of Shadow Schism. Shadow Schism is the card we search off our copy of our Pokelone because this card has the ability to, during the main phase, you can actually fusion summon a Shadow Fusion monster from your extract by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your field or your grave, but it cannot attack directly. Then you can actually send 1 monster that your opponent controls with the same attribute as the fusion summon monster to the graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use, but this card actually helps us summon out our copy of Winda, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Max Metal Morph. Max Metamorph is how we summon out our copy of Full Metal Dragon, which actually establishes a negate in this deck, which is so cool to be able to do, but you only need a single copy of this card, because once you normal summon out your copy of Black Metal Dragon, you can easily step into a copy of Full Metal Dragon in this deck, which is absolutely insane. But this card is really good as a one-of in the build. Plus, when you equip this card to your copy of Full Metal Dragon, the equipped monster gains 400 attack and defense points, pushing your copy of Full Metal Dragon to 3,800, and it cannot be destroyed by spell or monster effects, and your opponent cannot target it with monster spell effects either, which is so cool. We then played 2 copies of Destruction Sword Memories. Destruction Sword Memories is great in this deck as a 2-0 because you can actually banish this card in the graveyard to be able to fusion summon a Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, from the extract by banishing and fusion materials from the graveyard as well, which is a great effect to activate your copy of Prologue, get the materials you need in the graveyard along with this card, and then chain this card as Chain Link 2 to banish the materials to be able to step into both a Buster Dragon and your copy of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, locking down your opponent. We then play 3 copies of Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. Prologue is what the entire deck revolves around, and you want to resolve this card because once you resolve it, you pretty much win the game. And so let's just send a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader monster from our deck to the graveyard to be able to special summon a Buster Dragon from our extract or our graveyard, but you destroy it during the end phase of the next turn. So you always want to send a copy of Buster Blader to the graveyard and a copy of Memories to the graveyard, as we'll usually have a dragon already in the graveyard to be able to step into our copy of our Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, while also getting our copy of Buster Dragon on the field. We then play 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick is really good as a 3-0 in the build. It's basically 3 more copies of Prologue, making it super easy to be able to set up our copy of Prologue so we can go in for game and easily control the board. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. This card is one of our main boss monsters of the deck and an absolutely insane card. That it just requires a copy of Buster Blader plus any dragon type monster, which is super easy to do in this deck. But this card, as you build, this card cannot attack directly, and it gains 1,000 attack and defense for each dragon type monster that your opponent currently controls and in their graveyard. And it also changes all dragon type monsters your opponent controls to defense position, and also dragon type monsters that in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. And if this card attacks a defense position monster and inflicts piercing damage to your opponent, which is absolutely insane how easy it is to OTK your opponent with this card. We then play a single copy of Apokalon. Apokalon is great because if this card does touch the graveyard, you get to add a shadow card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which will actually search out our copy of Schism. Then we discard a card, which is super easy to do, especially with the effect of Maximus being able to send this card to the graveyard. So we can summon out our copy of Winda using our copy of Schism. So our opponent can only special summon from the, or they can only special summon period once per turn, which is absolutely insane. This card is really good as a boss monster in the deck and a really insane card to lock down your opponent. We then play a single copy of Elder Antinous to pop cards on the field. 1 copy of Garua. Garua is great to help us draw a card with our copy of Nadir, because we usually want to use your copy of Nadir with your copy of Garua, so you can search out a Maximus and get a draw, which is super cool to be able to do. We then play 2 copies of Buster Dragon. Buster Dragon turns every monster on your opponent's side of the field into a dragon monster, which is actually insane for a copy of our Buster Blader Fusion monster. And also it has an insane ability that you can actually once per turn, if you don't control a Buster Blader monster, target a Buster Blader in your graveyard and special summon him, and once per turn, during your opponent's turn, you can actually target a Buster Blader monster you control and equip it with a Destruction Sword monster from the graveyard, which is a quick effect to basically equip your copy of Destruction Sword to your copy of Buster Blader, making it so your opponent cannot special summon the extract, period. We then play a single copy of Abyss. Abyss is really good to be able to summon out using your copy of your Buster Dragon plus any tuner in the deck to give you a walking negate in the build, especially if your copy of Buster Dragon is going to destroy itself, which is really important for the effect of Prologue, so you can basically get it all at the field to be able to summon out your copy of Abyss. With my single copy of Aggregator, Aggregator is just a good option in the deck to be able to use your copy Maximus so you can negate a card on the field. With my single copy of Typhon, Typhon just is a really cool card to be able to summon because it's basically a skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack point monsters, plus it bounces a card off the field. With my single copy of Protector Whelp is actually really insane in this build because if this card is Link Summon, you can actually send a Destruction Sword card from your deck to the graveyard, and then you can actually special summon a Buster Blader monster from your hand, which is a great effect to be able to use to be able to get your copy of your Destruction Sword into the graveyard or even memories if you need to get it into the graveyard. We then have a single copy of the Hieratic Seal. Hieratic Seal is great in this build and help you spin cards off the field. And it's a great inboard piece to be able to make in this deck to basically just use this card to spin a card off the field and also put us a level 5 or higher dragon on our side of the field like a copy of Magnemite or Druisworm so we can use with our copy of Max Metamorph instead of a copy of Full Metal Dragon, which is really insane. We then played 2 copies of Spirit with Eyes of Blue. This deck plays Blue Eyes cards, it plays Buster Blader, and it even plays Red Eyes cards, which is absolutely insane. But this card is great because it helps you link away your copy of Black Metal Dragon, also searching Mausoleum from your deck to your hand, so you can normal summon out your copy of your Buster Whelp in addition to your copy of Black Metal, so you can go full Red Eyes combo and full Buster Blader combo because of this card and your copy of Mausoleum, which is so cool. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Buster Blader deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's super fun to be able to play and very easy to lock down your opponent with this particular build, and it has so many cool tech cards in it. I absolutely love this deck, and Buster Blader is one of my favorite nostalgic cards, but definitely comment down below what your favorite nostalgic card is. Mine is actually Dark Paladin, but I absolutely love Buster Blader because it's a part of one of my favorite fusion monsters, but it's such a cool card to be able to summon out to your side of the field, and Buster Blader really is one of the most powerful original cards, and it's so cool. So that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.